4:59. Council Lady Hargis, will you do our invocation, please?
Lord, we thank you for the day that you've blessed us with and the opportunity to serve the Cherokee people. I ask that you direct our discussions and our decisions in this meeting and in the council meeting this evening. I thank you for all that you have done. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Shelley, do the roll call, please.
Snell?
Here.
Bill England? Jack Baker?
Here.
Julia Coates? Here. Jody Fishinghawk? Mary Fraley? Janelle Fulbright? Here. John Garvin? Frankie Hargis? Here. Chuck Hoskin Jr.?
Here.
Hannah Dory Jordan?
Present.
Lee Keener?
Ahani.
Dick Lay?
Here.
David Thornton? David Walkingstick?
Here.
Kara Callamore? Ahani? John Masters?
Move.
We do have a quorum.
Quorum. Moving on down, approval of December the 12th regular session meeting minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
All in favor of approving minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on down to reports. Management Resources, Pat Gwynn.
Hello, councilors. Hope you're doing well.
Pat, if you would just take questions?
Yes, you have my report in front of you, and if you have any questions, I am ready here. Yes, ma'am.
Council Lady Watts?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, from your report, I didn't see anything on it, but we still have outstanding for District 5 an emergency management plan that includes the Rogers County Emergency Management folks, Claremore Indian Hospital, the Hard Rock Casino, and Will Rogers Downs. I think we met like even a year ago. I don't know. I think I was still District 7 actually, and so I guess I'm remiss in knowing what Tulsa County might involve. But for sure, with the assets and the facilities and the multiple organizations involved, we are lacking in Rogers County, and that has not been provided to me in an update. And I would appreciate a status update included with a detailed plan and line items, with line items and dates for Rogers County, coordinating with the Claremore Indian Hospital, which is the IHS facility, the Hard Rock, and Will Rogers Downs.
Yes, ma'am.
Then, are you providing the redistricting update now that Mr. Enlow is no longer with the Cherokee Nation?
No, ma'am. That's going to, I believe, going to be coming out of Chuck Hoskins' office, and I have not been made aware of that.
Okay, because it's still in your report, so it's mentioned.
Yeah, that's because Geodata was providing some of the information to Todd on that. The last word we heard from the chief of staff was we would be providing that information to Chuck Hoskins' office.
So we'll expect that in rules maybe, or do you happen to know?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. And then, so you're also helping Marsha Lamb's group with the Collinsville Food Distribution Building.
Yes.
And she's talking about accelerating that schedule, which I'm excited about. Just heads up. Truth in Art Inventory Act. So I see that there's an art inventory on there, but there were specific guidelines and requirements in the Truth in Art Act. Are those is that then all-inclusive, or is it just Willard Stone's inventory? I know he's not Cherokee, but we recognize him as a Cherokee artist by tribal law or resolution. But really, that Truth in Art Act includes all our art being inventoried. Could you make sure that that includes that and report back to us next month?
I will.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And did you want the do you want the emergency management plan data before next month, or do you just want in the next month's report?
I would prefer next month so that I have my questions prepared.
Okay.
And if it's lacking, I need to know what additional items or steps need to be taken and what those occurring dates are. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Hoskins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pat, I didn't know if you were copied on it, but the group of citizens in South Coffeyville have put together a more comprehensive list of the land that they think is in the area that might be suitable for Cherokee Nation to purchase. Mainly, I just wanted to know if you were in the loop on that.
Yeah, I did get a copy of the email, and I think all of those, or at least all but one of those, were on the original maps that I had provided. So, and I sent Mr. Davis an email saying, let me know what you need and when you need it, and I'd be more than happy to assist that group if they want to put together, some type of graphic or visual, presentation when they present that to the administration.
Okay, and because they have requested a meeting, and I'll follow up on that. But I appreciate it, Pat. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions for Pat? Thank you, Pat.
Yes, sir.
Moving on down to Real Estate Services, Linda Donaldson.
Good afternoon. Okay. I believe you have my report in your packet. Is there any questions?
Yes, Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I put in a Freedom of Information Act request for the Tahlequah Casino Land into Trust application, the original one, and I can't find where I've received it. So
Okay.
I don't know that you received it, and I have a folder of these requests I've made, but it would have went through Diana Turtle. So I would appreciate it by noon tomorrow before we leave.
Okay, that's the one for,
Both. I want the original one for the small temporary casino where we committed to the government, I believe, that we would move, because that would be the immersion school, and then the new application and the status of that application for the 20 acres we bought from, I think, Don Baker over there.
okay.
And then I understand in your report that restricted land is in foreclosure.
Yes, there is one piece that went into foreclosure. Someone notified us that they saw it and they understood it was restricted. Because the Bureau of Indian Affairs was never notified, we didn't get notice of it. And since we noticed it now, we did send notice of it to the solicitor's office, letting them know that this had been taken in foreclosure. It has not gone to sure sale yet, and so we wanted them to step in and protect that land before it.
Do you think
that
we'll be able
happens.
to do that?
I think we can be able to stop it.
Very good. Thank you so much. I have 3 more questions. It's noted in your report on December 20th that there was a water rights meeting where Ms. Free and several other people, but no one from the Attorney General's office appeared to be present. Could you tell me more about the December 20th meeting concerning our water rights?
Yes, it was a meeting where they were talking about the water rights, and they were talking with an attorney, and in actuality, Diane Hammonds was in attendance, as was Sarah Hill.
Okay.
And they just talked about the past case that was done by the State Attorney General,
Okay.
and what possibilities that we might want to look into on Cherokee Nation's behalf of maybe filing a suit or doing something.
Okay.
But they're exploring different things.
Okay, very good. And then December 21st, there was a meeting with individual Phil Given, and he's not a tribal citizen, so it was noted in the report, and I'd like to understand what that meeting was for.
It was about his having a tract of land. He bid for this tract over here that's next to the EMS building, and he received that from the last bid out, and no one else stepped up to say that they were Cherokee and that they wanted it, so he got
Okay.
that basically. And he was there to talk about the fact that the previous lessee still had hay on the land and were they going to move it. And we told them they still had until the end of the year to move.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And my one last normal question, the Claremore Federal Building.
Prepared a letter and put all our attachments about what happened and what was going on and the law about should be getting it in trust or not trust. Either way, we just wanted it resolved. Had Chief Baker sign the letter and sent it to Woodcock, the solicitor, first of this month.
Okay, thank you very
I'm
much.
waiting for a response.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
Yes, Councilman Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask that question, but I'll follow it up with where we not only have an ETA on when we'll get a response, but is there anything that we could do council?
Not at this point. Sometimes if you push too hard, they kind of put it on the back burner, and I want them to keep at it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we also sent a letter about the Sequoia properties that we want transferred too.
Okay.
Let's have that as well.
Okay, and just one other question was, I too read that on item 6 under B, meeting with Kate Free and others, so that was a red flag for me. It didn't say Diane Hammond and others.
Yeah, it was. Diane was present.
Was she the lead on that? Or?
Basically for the AG's office she was.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions for Linda? Thank you, ma'am. Move on down to environmental programs, Tom Elkins.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I'll just accept questions if there are any.
Any questions for Tom? Sheriff?
I know I can't be the only one that reads these reports and asks questions. All right, so recycling center details. We keep having these announcements that we're going to have them and stuff, but like from a consumer perspective, what are we going to do or what are we not going to do?
What was planned, and are we just talking about the building right now at this moment? Or what's going to happen in the future? The building, I believe Mr. Gwynn has that bid out or the specs ready, and he's either got it bid out or a package ready to go with that. When that's done, the plan was to recycle from the complex area, go out to the outlying areas and the clinics and everything, and then to the local community if possible.
And that's paper and number 1 plastic.
Starts out with paper, cardboard, aluminum, plastics.
1 and 2.
I believe.
Okay.
And then from there on, maybe metals if possible.
Okay. And then I don't see any Recycling Act compliance reporting, and I don't know if we decided, I think that may have to be coming out of the Secretary of State from the Recycling Act.
I would imagine, yes, ma'am.
So, but your group hasn't done any additional work on Recycling Act compliance. And then there's something from the Cherokee Nation landfill report. I guess there's problems at the landfill potentially. Is that what it was saying? And then
Not problems so much. There's an issue with the leachate. It should have. It's been going up. There was waste is disposed at a excavation for a liner expansion project. That project is done. They just had to expose that waste for a short period of time to bring it out and use the term's called fluff. When they put out a new layer, the liner, they can't just put heavy stuff that would tear that liner, so they use fluff type of trash to put out on that, then soil, and they kind of make small, non-compacted layers on that to give it somewhat fluff, and then they start compacting on top of that. I just wanted to note, in case anybody said, hey, there's a bunch of trash that's not being covered out there, why that was the case. And yeah, there is definitely a problem with the leachate. Hopefully that's going to be fixed, but I just want to make the people aware of it.
very good. Thank you so much,
Certainly.
Tom. We appreciate your work on your group. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Gator?
Chair, anything new to report on the natural gas installation? You want to get this?
Yes. We're still having a problem getting I was told it was the card reader. It's not the card reader. That card reader is a little bit different on that equipment than the card readers on the other ones. And most of their business is from the card reader. People don't go in and pay cash very often. The problem is getting their card reader system that they have integrated with this new one. It's not the reader itself. It's the software and that inside the building. That's being done. They had to write a contract with a different company to get that done. And Sean Slayton assures me that that's being done right now. And he gave me a date. I don't have it written down, so I don't want to tell you something that I'm just pulling out of thin air. But he gave me a date and said that will be done by this date. Hopefully we'll have this done, the whole thing done by now. And I said, excellent. That'll be fine then. As long as we're making progress and getting there. So that's where we're at. But everything physically to pump gas is sitting there. It's just they can't charge us for it, which would be good too. But
Thanks.
yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions for Tom?
Thank you, sir.
Tom, thank you. Moving down to old business, I see now.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Could I make a motion to amend the agenda?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to put the, and I don't like to bring this up, just boom, there it is. Because I know that we could do this in rules, but it needs to be done before rules gets here. And this is a resolution authorizing memorandum of agreement between the Cherokee Nation and the Tulsa District United States Army Corps of Engineers. And this has to do with the hydroelectric plant that we're talking about putting in at the W.D. Mayo dam and the project. And we've got two young ladies here that can get up and answer any questions that anyone would provide to answer them. I'm still moving to amend this agenda.
Second the motion. Motion and second. All in favor of amending agenda?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll make that number 5.
Thank you.
Moving on down to new business. Item number 1, a resolution requesting a donation of 3 self-contained breath apparatus and a scope basket to the Mid-County Fire Department located in Adair County, Oklahoma.
I'll make a motion for its approval.
Got a motion and a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is a resolution requesting the donation of a 25-foot flagpole for the Proctor Cemetery located in Proctor, Oklahoma.
Make a motion for its approval.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just for like, when this goes to full council on both those, could the approximate value of the item and the departmental source or the budget be just noted in the resolutions, just so it's clear if somebody looks it up? I mean, I think this is great. I just think I'm trying to, how do we work and be more transparent? The one thing, questions I had was the value and the source of the item. Just for full council. If there's no objections, that it could be added.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's been a motion
Yeah, I got a motion and a second on the flagpole amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on down to item number 3, Cherokee. Councilor Watts, would you like to take that?
Mr. Chairman, I'd actually defer to Councilman Thornton. I believe he has taken the lead on this now and is doing an excellent job.
Okay, very good. Councilman Thornton.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, I'd like to make a motion. Pass a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Environment Programs Group to submit a formal grant application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for an urban water small grant.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be added as a sponsor.
And I would too.
You are too.
You know anyone as a sponsor? Would everybody like to be added as a sponsor?
Yeah.
No? Everybody would? Yes, everybody would.
I'm already on
You would? Keep them hold hands up. Let's see them all.
I got everybody.
She's first.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Moving on down to item number 4. Councilor Watts.
And this is also, okay, Clean Water 106 project, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's EPA 1 year, $175,000.
Got a motion second. Any questions? Yes, Don.
I'd like to be added as sponsor, please.
Any sponsor?
Everybody again?
Everybody? Thank you.
I'm so glad everybody's on board with our environment.
Okay, got a motion second. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 5, Mr. David.
This is a resolution authorizing a memorandum of agreement between the Cherokee Nation and the District, Coastal District, United States Corps of Engineers.
Second.
Motion second.
And I'd also like it to be passed on tonight.
Okay. That's on tonight, tonight's council.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be added as a sponsor on this, please.
Let's see some hands.
That's mine.
Okay, I got a motion second. Tom, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Just a quick one. On the other 2 grants, I just wanted to make everybody know that there is some match on there. Most of that, if not every bit of that, will be covered by in-kind with our other water issues that we do. But I wanted to ask to see if that could be run through to tonight's council. Many of the EPA grants that we get, I'm so sorry to have to do this all the time. It seems like and ask that they go to committee and then council. But our window of opportunity on those is so narrow. They just don't give us time to work on them.
3 and 4?
The environmental ones, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I had a motion and a second for item number 5. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I have a question or two.
Yes, sir.
Who's, Susan, are you
David?
representing this? What is this going to obligate us to with the Corps and whoever else we're?
Well, the memorandum of understanding is just the base document, and it doesn't obligate the nation to do anything. It allows the nation and the Army Corps to negotiate the interagency partnership agreements, and there can be a specific agreement for specific purposes, and I've also provided in your packet the current proposed interagency agreement. That would obligate the nation to pay $250,000 in federal funds to the Army Corps for services that the Army Corps would be obligated to perform related to the W.D. Mayo project. And there were some liability provisions in these documents, and I took them out that might have put the nation in jeopardy of having some liability issues, and I took them out and they were accepted by the Army Corps, so I don't think that it's exposing the nation to liability other than paying for the services that are rendered, and the payment is to be provided up front.
Who is, when this goes through, if it ever does, who is the lead here? Will it be the Corps of Engineers or the Cherokee Nation or CNB, or who'll be in charge?
Well, the agreements are with the nation because there's federal laws that deal with intergovernmental relationships, so that's why the agreements are with the nation. CNB has been doing the work on the project and is trying to get the federal law that authorized the project amended. Currently, the federal law allows the nation to build the hydroelectric facility, but it authorizes the Southwest Power to market the water and the Army Corps to operate and maintain the facility. And CNB's been trying to get the law amended so that the nation would have total control over the project.
So the Corps is going to operate. Will we have Cherokee preference hiring and the operational end of it as far as people who actually work on that site?
I think if the law is not amended, there probably would not be Cherokee preference, but the nation would receive a royalty payment for the water that's marketed. And Carol Wyatt or Marguerite McKinney may have something else to add to that.
Yeah, I'm interested in Cherokee preference hiring on not only the contracts to build it, but the people who are going to work there. If somebody could answer that, I'd like to hear it.
I think the federal law would have to be amended to let the nation
Federal law
operate.
would be
There's
amended?
a 1986 law that authorized the project, and it specifies Army Corps will operate it. And unless, I mean, we could do some research on that, but currently I think that preference would not apply to the operation. It would for the construction.
That's what I'm concerned about. The other thing is, if we pass this, do we give you, the Attorney General's office, the right to go ahead and negotiate all of these agreements that you talked about?
The resolution does not expressly require that. A provision could be added to require the AG's office to.
But will you take the lead?
We would certainly be willing to work with CMB in doing that. Anything that.
So CMB takes the lead? That's what I'm asking.
Well, the interagency agreement would be with the nation and the Corps, so the Attorney General's office would have to be involved in that, in any negotiations.
So we're approving CMB and the AG to go ahead and do all the agreements before coming back to council?
Without coming back to council as far as the interagency agreements are concerned, but there's a provision that funding has to be available before they can be executed.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I did understand that right, Susan, on page 4, the top paragraph, there's just the initial amount of money, and then after that, the nation can terminate or stop any funding further on the MOA, right? That's what that last line means. We can either provide additional funds or terminate the relationship. That was my understanding.
Well, this is just with respect to any specific interagency agreement that's negotiated. If there's an early termination, then the nation, or if it appears there's not sufficient funds to finish the services under that particular IAG, then the nation can either terminate or choose to add additional funding.
So it's not an open spigot. There was
No.
a set amount that's set aside of federal funds that really can only be used for this purpose.
Right. Each interagency agreement that the nation might negotiate in the future, including the one that's before you all, would have a specified amount, specified scope of work, and so it's just definitely, it's not open-ended at all.
I do know, I am concerned though about something that Mr. Lay brought out. My understanding all along on this project was we would control the hiring, and it sounds like now it's not us, it's the Corps.
Correct.
And that is a concern to me. One, we want to create jobs down in Sequoia County, but we want to create Cherokee jobs. So there's nothing on the table that guarantees us that we control the hiring there.
Not after it's constructed. After it's constructed, the 1986 Act gives the Corps the authority to operate the project.
So the 200 jobs that might be available there might not be Cherokee at all.
I don't think so. Again, I'd have to do some research on that.
Would you care to do some research on that and report that to us at the next meeting? And maybe get with the ladies that have been working on this. They might know a little more. I know we're running out of time. We'll probably have to get that at the next meeting. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me make sure that my mind is clear on this. Although we own Arkansas Riverbed, the navigation channel is controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers by law. Is that correct? In terms of operation, maintenance?
Actually, probably. I did not go back and look at those laws. The 1986 Act is the law that authorized this particular hydroelectric project.
Because
for the W.D. Mayo.
I guess the way I understand it is, in general, the hydrology of the Arkansas riverbed or the river itself the maintenance of the channel and the navigation of the channel is controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers. And then we also, in respect to this very specific project that we would all like to see, I would hope, that in the 80s, it was very specific that the Army Corps of Engineers would do and maintain the project. It would just have to be funded by means outside of its normal budget, more than likely, for us. Is that how that works?
Well, the law actually says the nation is authorized to do the construction of the project. And
But the design and the operations and maintenance is for the Corps to do?
well, the nation would, as part of the construction, the nation could do the design, and I think it has hired outside firms. But the Corps is doing oversight of that and doing testing and evaluation of what's being done, because they're going to have to approve everything in the end anyway. That's my understanding. I don't know if you have any more to add.
Okay. So it sounds like for the project to occur, we must involve the Corps, and the Corps is obligated to do long-term operations of that facility, regardless of whether they build it for us at our request, or if we build it with their oversight and we do that. They have to be involved.
They will I think they'll always have a role, but then again, there's a bill pending in Congress. It was last summer, and I think it still is. I think it passed the House Resources Committee that would amend that law, that would give the Cherokee Nation control over operation, maintenance, and marketing.
But I
if that law
understand
got
Senator
passed.
Coburn has blocked that and does not believe that will go forward, I thought.
That may be true. I don't know.
So we either act today and continue to move forward on this 30-year project, or we pause, potentially lose it in hopes that this gets amended. That's the way I'm assessing the situation. I mean, is that probably a fair summary of where we're at? Because we need to move forward in order to gain the money that the Department of Interior is putting on the table for the Corps to do this work for us.
Right. I think, you're moving forward, but you're not committed to finishing the project. Basically, you're going to move forward, and you're going to assess things as you move forward.
So we would only lose opportunity if we did not act today. We can only gain by acting today. We wouldn't necessarily lose anything because we have to fund it up front, and we haven't necessarily put any money on the table to fund it. This is just putting the agreement in place while we have momentum on it.
Right, and you've got the federal grant to pay for this particular interagency agreement, the $250,000.
I just don't understand why we would want to delay or be opposed to it. So I appreciate your work. Carol, Marguerite, thank you. You've done a tremendous amount of work. So thank you for continuing to carry the water.
Councilman Gordon.
Yeah, I was just going to appreciate y'all for the work that you've done. And Carol and Harvey. Anyway, if this is brought about by Corps money, federal money, which up to this point it has been, right?
Well, this is Department of Interior money, and of course the Corps is under the Army. But it's through some federal laws that allow intergovernmental federal agency cooperation and federal agency cooperation with tribes. So it's federal money that the Corps can access through this federal law.
Well, these federal laws, did they bring about that you could be in any nationality to be hired to work down there?
I just don't think they address that. The 1986 law doesn't address it, and of course, I know Department of Interior has some Indian preference requirements, but I'm not sure how that would apply to the Army Corps of Engineers because it's under the United States Army. Mm-hmm. And it's not an issue I've ever looked at before.
And what you're saying, this may get to a point that if we stand up and say we want Indian preference, we might get it.
It's worth taking a look at.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, because it's the military, it's going to be a little different than what we're used to dealing with, I think.
Over the years, the Cherokee Nation has been dealing with the federal government for years and years and years. Sometimes we come out ahead, sometimes we don't. I hope we can come out ahead on this when that gets to that point. But right now, really be for it because I think it would not only, even if it does, even if it have to use labor without a nationality attached to it, funding that this nation is going to receive over the next 100 years is going to help our people. And that's what I'm in this for. I'm in this to help our people. And I think that whatever we get out of it, if it's 10 million, 15 million a year, that this council will control that funding. And we can help our people out of that funding. And that's what I'm all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins. Councilman,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
just do for 1 minute.
Yeah, it'll be brief. What's the latest point in time that you need the council to pass this at full council? I know it's going tonight, but do you have to have it tonight?
The sooner the better. We were aiming for the February council meeting, to be truthful, but because there's also a budget modification, I'm not sure.
There's not a risk involved in waiting to February.
Not that I'm aware of. If it goes beyond February, it's going to just start delaying different phases of the project. It's going to end up costing extra money.
I don't know if 1 month is going to get us more information on the prospects of Cherokee preference. I'm not sure we'll know anything more than a month than we know right now, but it did occur to me that if more time would allow you to get back to us, then why not take that time? But, Mr. Chairman, have we already, have we voted on this yet?
No.
Ms. McKinley may have an answer to that.
I would say that during the construction phase of the project that the Cherokees would control employment. It's only after the Corps takes over the operation of the
And that's the question. I think we're all clear on the fact that construction is within our control.
Right.
And did I also, I just want to, it's breathtaking what I just heard a while ago. There's a bill before Congress that would allow Indian nations to take control of employment on projects such as this. Did I understand that right? What's the bill that's pending before Congress?
This specific project.
And the senator from Oklahoma is blocking it. Is that?
We're asking that the original legislation be amended to allow Cherokee Nation to own the project.
It is breathtaking
And he is
that Senator
not
Coburn
supportive of that.
would stop this. I am speechless, but I suppose that's par for the course for that senator. But I do think if we have more time, we should take it. But I don't know that we'll get any different answer next month is my concern. And I don't want to lose an opportunity, but I also believe in slowing down if we can. And Mr. Chairman, I think we didn't complete the vote earlier. We were in the middle of it, so that's why I was confused. Thank you.
If I could speak to the delay question, it does delay the project in that right now we are in the middle of developing the models of the river. And delaying it another 30 days is only going to put us further behind. And also, it's programmatic in that we do have Department of Interior funds that is progressing the project. And so we get behind. We need the data from the Corps in order to complete the modeling of the river. So if we could pass it tonight, that would be very beneficial to the project. Thank you.
Councilman Declare.
I don't think, thank you, sir. I don't think we will control construction the way this is worded here. I haven't heard our legal department say that. And furthermore, we will not have Cherokee preference jobs unless we send an envoy to the Corps and get them to sign off on that with one of these agreements. But y'all do what you want to, but I don't trust the Corps of Engineers about as much as I trust the BIA. And y'all know how that is. And so, if you want to do this, that's fine, but you're doing it without my vote. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan, you'll be the last.
Yeah, my last question to you is, right to this point, the cost of this project has been nothing to Cherokee Nation, right? These dollars will be federal dollars that will just pass through us to this bunch to do their study.
That's correct. It's coming out of a grant that we most recently received from the Department Department of Interior.
You understand, concern appears to be, when it starts costing a Cherokee dollar, we want to know then, are we going to be in control of the situation?
Absolutely, yes.
So I think it's paramount, even though I will support this because it's a federal dollar tonight, there's going to come a point where you're going to get asked that question.
Right.
Are we going to be in control when we start putting our dollars into it? Because if we're not, then a lot of us are going to have to ask hard questions. Is millions of dollars going to be worth the return we're going to get when we're not guaranteed their Cherokee jobs?
Right. And there may be some decisions that the council will need to make in regards to amending or repealing the current legislation. That could help give us the control that we need to do that and secure our rights. That's correct.
Is all minds clear? Now to vote for this resolution. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.